Welcome to Podnutz Computer Repair Podcast, episode number 236. Launch your residential MSP with Recur. I'm your host, Jeff Halash, and I'm joined today by Ian Alexander from REPAIRTECH. How you doing, Ian?
Good. How are you?
I am great, and good to have you back on the show after, I don't know, it's been a few months anyways.
It's been a while.
And you guys have come up with not only a brand new product, but a product that also works alongside and with Repair Shopper.
We have,
So
yes. And that is
I'm
exciting.
very interested to hear when we talk about residential MSP and what this product can basically do and how it can help those out there that are trying to break into the residential managed service model. So
Right.
I'm going to let you go ahead and take it away and kind of talk a little bit about what the product Recur actually is and what it can do.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. So I guess for background, just so we're on the same page about like what I'm actually talking about, because I think a lot of people might have different meanings for residential and for MSP and for all these things. So the general concept is you have break fix clients or just residential people that you service in some way, and it's the ability to offer them a recurring business model, right, where they're paying you on a subscription. I think that a lot of people are very skeptical of residential clients, and rightfully so. That's why there's this big movement to get into managed services and move over to business clients and stuff, because recurring revenue is awesome. Nobody can complain about that. And then there's also this this concept of, if I can grow my recurring revenue base and reduce the amount of work I do per client, then my profitability goes up, and I'm basically spending my time better, as opposed to being subject to how many people come into my shop at any given time, right? And reacting to that in a break fix kind of model. The issue that we identified is that when you have like a managed service play with business clients, and there's just a lot of infrastructure there that enables you to do your job efficiently. And when things don't work, so for example, when like you fail to bill someone and their credit card gets declined or something, and then you have to call them on the phone or send them an invoice or something like that, like that's worth it for a small business client, because they're paying you like, $1,000 or whatever it might be, right?
Right. Yep.
So it makes sense to put in that time. With a residential client, you can't charge them that much. So you're going to like chase after $5. Like, you're not going to do that. And then on top of that, you're also paying, like, you have cost that you are incurring when you offer that service. So for example, you're offering managed antivirus. You're paying like $2 a month for the antivirus. So you're actually losing money when they don't pay you. And there's no system where you can like automatically turn off their antivirus if they don't pay you. And so there's a bunch of just tool issues, right? Like the software hasn't existed to make it really easy to run a residential MSP with that model, because it's fundamentally just a little different than business clients, because there's a lot of them as opposed to a few that give you a lot. So we've had this integration with Repair Shopper for Kabuto for quite a while, and it's evolved over time. And we basically set out to create a system that would enable our customers to launch a residential MSP and make a ton of money. And it's a very interesting experience launching this thing, because I think it's a fundamental mind shift for a lot of people. Like, we're not just like selling tools. Like, we're actually trying to like convince people that this is a viable business model and that you can make a lot of money with it. But people aren't actually used to it. They get the MSP thing, but they don't necessarily get how that applies to residential clients. So we're like trying to educate people on how that works, show them that they can make a ton of money, and explain the integration, which is kind of like its own thing. And I'm happy to like dive into what the integration actually does. But just wanted to give you that high level first.
Okay. No, that's great. Great information. And yes, there's a lot of truth to that, where when I look at the managed service model, I don't really see a big divide, and I never have, between business and residential as far as what you're doing. Now, there are different levels of support that we do in our businesses, but the reality is it's a lot of the same types of things, except that on the residential side, a lot of times to do any type of managed service usually costs you more money. And like you said before, more than the residential customer is willing to pay. So we really never had anything that is for the residential customer, the managed customer per se, up until it sounds like now.
Right.
And if you want to go into what is Recur, what does it do, and how can people make a lot of money by having something set in place, or let's at least say consistent, regular income coming in and doing this in a way that makes sense.
Right. Let's see, where does it make sense to start? Let's talk about the general concept. So let's walk through like a day. You have a client that comes in, they have a broken computer. You're checking them in. You check them in with Repair Shopper. You make a customer for them in Repair Shopper, right? What you do at that point is after you've made the customer and you're checking them in, you say, hey, I have this application. I can install it on your computer for free. And what it does is it'll monitor your computer and show a little notification to you when something happens, and then you can request service. You can also use it as a communication tool to get in touch with me whenever. So you're essentially offering the Kabuto agent for free to them without monitoring, without managed AV or any of that. So it doesn't really cost you very much. You're installing that on every computer. And that's like part of your check-in process, as opposed to your check-out process when everything's already done. There's a mentality difference when they're walking in and like they have a problem and you're like, hey, like we can prevent this from happening in the future. Like at that point, they're like going to be a lot more willing to hear you about prevention than like maybe at the end when you're asking them for money. So
that's good. I like that. That's something I didn't even think about, that there's probably a proper place to ask for that request for them to be a part of, having Kabuto installed to help prevent the problem in the future. And that is a good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So we recommend installing it on every computer that comes in. And you can actually do that now if you have Recur from the Repair Shopper dashboard. In that customer, there's a little drop down and you just press Kabuto installer. It'll download the installer for that particular customer, create the customer in Kabuto and everything, send over all the contact information to Kabuto, and then you just install it. And it knows that it's for that customer, for that asset, and that's the computer. So it'll install it. Now, the second thing you can do is you can upsell them on your packages. And so you have your products in Repair Shopper that are like your monitoring package or something, and then you're like plus package, which might include like monitoring and manage AV. You can even put in your own custom stuff if you want that's not related to Kabuto. So like we've had people say like, oh, I also install iBlock Plus on their computer. I do managed backup. Like I do, people will throw in like discounts on future diagnostics. So you can put whatever you want in your pricing plan. Essentially what you're doing though is you're selling them access to you. Like that's the real value in what you're doing, is you're saying like, you as a client have access to me, and I will put energy into making sure that your system is running smoothly at all times. So it's not really just about the tools. And I think that's like kind of confusing for people. They're like, oh, managed AV cost me $2. I sell it for $5. But you can charge a lot more than $5 because you're not just really selling managed AV. You're like selling yourself. Anyway, you upsell them on these products in Repair Shopper that are like a package. And those packages, the cool thing is they can be tied to policies in Kabuto. So in Kabuto, like a policy is like a preset of settings. So you can say like, I want managed AV on, I want monitoring on, I want these notification settings, that kind of thing. So you tie them to each other. And what it'll do is automatically install those settings on that customer's computer. And all of this is happening from Repair Shopper. So it's like you download the thing. It says, which product are you selling? Oh, I want managed AV Plus. Bam, downloads the installer, already knows exactly what policy and everything you want applied, installs it. So it's all one step, right? Then you can click another button. It'll add a Kabuto subscription. So it instantly creates a recurring invoice with all your settings. You can charge them monthly, yearly, whatever. It sets it up. It's configured to know which device it is. So if they don't pay, it'll auto retry their credit card. And if they can't be billed, it can turn off Manage AV, for example, because they didn't pay their bill for you. So you don't have to worry about that.
Oh,
So
nice.
thing is like this circular thing, right? Not only that, but in Repair Shopper, you have a customer portal that they can access whenever. In that customer portal, you can configure it so they can see their existing subscription. If they want to cancel it for some reason, they don't have to call you on the phone. They can just click the button. It's just reducing effort for you. On the flip side of that, if they don't have a subscription, they can add it, and you'll have product descriptions and everything. It's all set up automatically. They say, I want the plus package, $12 a month. They like click the thing, enter their credit card info. It automatically sends them a Kabuto installer that they can install on their machine, automatically puts the configurations in there. They're paying you money. You didn't do anything.
Nice. Okay.
So it's a very cool self-service type thing. You can embed those products on your website. So that's a super cool thing. They can like buy it, fill out their information, all from your website. There's another thing that's super cool, which is a marketer campaign. So you can send out these automated email blasts with a link. So it knows which customer you're sending the email to.
Right.
So you can have it have the custom link to install Kabuto. So they can go and just install a particular version of Kabuto that you've pre-configured with the settings.
Very
right?
cool.
Or you can send them to their self-service center, right? Where their kiosk thing where they can like then go and buy the products. So it's this whole system where you're installing Kabuto on more and more machines, generating recurring revenue, and doing that every single day. And as you just keep doing that and piling up those devices that you have this installed on, these people are paying you money for, it actually adds up to like a lot of money.
Right.
If you think about it, you get like, let's just say you get one a day, like one thing a day, and you charge them $10 a month. You can charge them more than that, but just to make the math easy, that's $300 a month, right? And you're doing that every month. It adds up.
It does add up, yeah. And I think too, the point is, there's a lot of people out there that will complain about the ebbs and flows of the computer repair business as far as the ups and downs, and I'm slow this month, I'm really, I'm swamped this month. And that's just how it is. It's how it's been since the beginning. I don't see that changing in the future. But when you have that recurring revenue that is coming in on a regular basis, that kind of makes it a little bit softer in your pocketbook.
Yes, for sure. It's definitely a way of negating that if you're in like a college town, which I know is a really common problem for people. All the college students go away in the summer, less computers to be fixed. So, and I don't know, there's always the cyclical thing. A lot of people have a really good time in the winter and then it's not so good after that. So yeah, definitely recurring revenue is nothing to complain about.
Right. So I think that's great from the standpoint. It sounds like you guys have put something together that makes it virtually hands off, other than, you got to let your customers know about it. But other than that, everything, they can do this themselves. And I think that's really cool because that gives the customer a little more control. The ones that find out how important it is to be protected all the time. And a lot of times I will tell my customers, listen, do you want your computer to run just like the day you brought it home from the store? Because if you don't do something on there, and if you're just going to put antivirus on or whatever that you get from the store, it's only going to do so many things. And all you need is one little Windows update or something to break that all of a sudden now it brings along more problems. And then you come back and see me in 6 months. And I tell people, pretty much, even on a fresh install, you're going to be good for about 3 months if there's no type of maintenance going on that computer. Mm-hmm. And the problem is, it's like and I know this is not a true analogy, but it's kind of like the story of the boiling of a frog. You put a frog in a pot and you turn it up 1 degree at a time. The frog doesn't know it's getting cooked until it's too late. And that's really what happens to these machines. People will get to a point where they will go down, they will press the button on their desktop or laptop, go up, make a pot of coffee, and wait, get a cup, and come down, and they think that's normal.
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes later, hey, it's starting to boot up to this is great. Now I can go online and do what I want. Even though it's so slow that you and I both know if we were to get on those machines, we'd be like, no, we're throwing this thing out. We're done.
Totally. Totally.
So what brought this about? That I know you guys have been working on Kabuto for a long time and really making that work and making it easy for people to use. What brought this relationship together between you and Repair Shopper, that you guys had put this stuff together so that it could work seamlessly between the two?
Yeah, I mean, we've been working with Repair Shopper since like 2013. They're our closest partners, and we've been improving the Kabuto integration in general for a while now. There's a lot of new things that a lot of people probably don't know about. That integration, like, probably should actually be like 10 integrations, because it does like all these various things. It sends like Kabuto leads. It sends Kabuto like service requests to Repair Shopper as leads. It like can move your tickets over. So like if you get an alert in Kabuto, it creates a ticket in Repair Shopper. It like automatically creates assets in Repair Shopper from devices. It ties customers together. So it does all these different things. And I think we just have very similar customer bases. And so there's a lot of incentive for us, because we get lots of feature requests saying like, hey, can you add this feature to this integration? And we're like, sure, cool. Because lots of people enjoy it and it helps them. I think that we saw that there was an opportunity to help people. We kept seeing all these like community things on like Technibble and on Facebook groups and all that, where it wasn't actually, people weren't asking about Repair Shopper or Kabuto. They were saying like, hey, how are you guys automating your billing? How do you do that with your RMM? Like, how do you tie them together? And we realized like there's not really any way to do that. And then the second thing is, if we solve that problem, how is it going to help our customers grow in a way that they weren't before? And
Right.
So I think that's kind of what brought this about. Recur actually doesn't have to be used for residential clients. It can be used for any client. It's not specific to that, but we positioned it that way, like in the way we talk about it, because we do think it's a really powerful mind shift. If we can get people to start doing residential MSP stuff instead of just purely trying to switch to MSP for small business, because there's still a ton of business out there for residential clients. People just don't think it's worth it. So if we can change the way people think about it, change the business model, and make it worth it again, there's actually a lot of money there. And that can hopefully help these businesses flourish. I think, 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was a lot easier to just do a purely like break fix model and make that work. And it's getting harder now. So,
well, yeah. And I think part of that, like we said, is the problem is with all these different infections and different things going on, it's really hard to keep up with that. And you even your residential customers, even if you think about Sohos and, your home operated businesses and stuff like that, this would be a perfect plan for stuff like that. And to be honest with you, is there that much difference between some of the other models out there versus this? Maybe everybody does things a little bit differently, and that's good, because you got to find the one that's going to work for you.
Totally.
But it sounds like that, from the residential side, I don't see anybody else out there pitching the residential side. And I'm a firm believer with you, Ian, that there are a lot of people that are leaving money on the table. We used to talk about the things that we don't do in leaving money on the table. And it's like everybody is wanting to walk away from residential customers. My residential customers, I love them, because if you cultivate and make a residential customer actually come to you for everything that they need, guess what they do? Oh, here's the problem though. Most people don't do this. I charge them every time. And guess what they do? They pay me. And so, hey, you want to take 5 minutes to fix this problem, and I just charge you a half hour for 5 minutes work, and to you, it's worth it. That's money in my pocket. I love it.
Yeah,
So,
I was talking to a really big repair shop. They're like a hybrid shop. I went over and visited the other day, and one of the interesting things they said was that they actually use break fix to generate leads for MSP, and that he was telling me that, like, if I was to go on AdWords and try to compete with the other MSPs in the area for leads for MSP stuff, I'd just be wasting a ton of money. What I do instead is we still do break fix, but every time someone comes in, we ask, like, what do you do? And, like, how's your internal IT? Do you need help with IT stuff? And they do a really good job at break fix. And then they use that to generate their leads for managed service stuff. And it was interesting because we were talking about how if you did the residential MSP stuff too, it would, in some ways, like, you sell them on that, and then they're like, oh, this actually works really well. Like, we should be doing this in our business. So it's kind of like a warm up for getting managed service jobs.
that's good.
Just an interesting, it probably won't work in all places. But if you're in a place where business owners come in often, then it probably would.
Well, and the funny thing is I think we were talking about this before, but if a customer has a problem on their network, in their business, on a computer, and they don't already have somebody that's taking care of that on a regular basis, then what ends up happening is they go online or they go to the phone book, if they have those things anymore, and they will call the first person that they come across, and maybe they'll call several people and have people come out and do quotes and different things like that. And they have a problem that needs to be solved. So what we do is we go out there and we fix and solve that problem. And then we can go, hey, here's the other things we have that can help be proactive and prevent the catastrophes from happening in the future. Right. And this is what we do. If you're interested in that, we can go that route. But really, most businesses get their business from people going, I got something wrong and I need it fixed now. So this whole idea of we're going to go out and we're just going to pedal to business to business to business, I don't know how much that happens, or how, I believe the break fix model is great because it is a great lead magnet.
Yeah, and I think it does. There are a lot of very, very successful MSPs that don't do break fix stuff. I think that model is fine. It can work, but I think that the answer, like everything else, is it depends. It depends on like where you're located, what your market is, what you like to do. There's like a lot of factors at play there. So anyway, I think the break fix thing still has merit, and I do want to say I don't actually care whether people use Recur to do this. I think that it is totally doable without Recur. You won't have as much automation, but you can still do this concept without Repair Shopper, without Kabuto, without Recur. We're just making it easier, but we think that there's something here and that people should explore it. We've done like town halls and stuff where we bring people in that are already doing this kind of thing and ask them what works for them. There are people that are being super successful with this type of model. So yeah, you don't have to use our stuff, but like you should at least be open-minded and try to explore it, because I think there's lost revenue there that people are just ignoring.
Yeah, they're waiting. Yeah, they're waiting for that. Like I said, somebody will work with a computer that's so sluggishly slow, and sometimes it'll be a year. And you're like, hey, how long have you had this problem? Oh, about 8 months. And you're like going, oh my gosh, I'd stick a fork in my eye before I had to deal with this. And so I think a lot of times, if we can do that preventative maintenance, like, yeah, it's going to cost you less in the long run, most of the time. And I think it is a great recurring revenue model. And the less you have to do. And a lot of people, I guess, they don't understand the concept of when you get, they look at it from the onesie twosie. Well, when you get a client base that's on the system, you're going to have people leaving. You're going to have people coming in. That's just the way constant business is churning, right? And so a lot of these people you're going to get that constant, at least recurring revenue coming in, and it's going to help a lot of people from having these slow computers, having these major issues. And I definitely think it's definitely something that needs to be looked at. But you're right, it is a mind shift change, and I think people they need to try the stuff that's out there. And Recur has put something in there. You got Recur, you got Repair Shopper, Kabuto, REPAIRTECH, or Tech Suite, all these different tools to kind of automate and have a process that will help you in the long run. And it's a long play. And I think that's what people need to look at.
And I think you alluded to this earlier. This isn't really about the tools. Once you have the tools, the stuff's automated, the systems are in place, but nothing's going to happen unless you sell it. Right. And so that's kind of really what we've noticed is that's actually the barrier. Yes. Is getting people to change their habits. And it's really easy to do this. It's just that it's a bit of a mind shift again. So we made this thing 5 days to a residential MSP. And it's just day one is super simple. It's just install Kabuto on every computer. And it takes you through these 5 days. And it's one new thing every day. That's all you got to do. And then you're able to basically be running that and get off the ground. But I think, it's the little things that kind of get people to not start. So we have pamphlets because a lot of people I can't do this unless I have a pamphlet. So we have sales pamphlets for the antivirus and for Kabuto, and I don't know. There's a lot of little things like that we've kind of developed because people are always I don't want to say being lazy because it's totally not laziness. It's more like mental blockers. Okay.
I'll go with that. I was thinking other things, but I'll go with that. As far as, again, I think a lot of times because sales is this big thing that nobody wants to deal with. And I think from our standpoint, what I've looked at is, and this has helped me, and even being, part-time tech, you guys can say whatever you want as far as that goes. But the reality is I don't really try to sell things. I let people know what is available. And if they ask me a question specifically, what can I do to prevent this in the future? Then I just lay it out on here's some of the things we can put in place that will help protect you in the future. And really that's all you need to do. We look at this information, and I somebody sent me an email or something about some updates and whatnot. And I'm looking at the email, and I told them, I said, yeah, my eyes glazed over after the second paragraph. I'm going, I don't know, don't care, doesn't matter. Just, I don't care about the labor pains. Just show me the baby. That's all I want to know. And so I look at that stuff and I go, I think people try to make it too overly complicated. Don't overly complicate it. Just let them know how it's going to help them. It's about a win-win situation. Yes, you're selling a subscription model, which guess what? Everybody else is doing also. And that's okay. It's just the way we're moving. If you think about things that people pay for that are recurring, whether it be Netflix or whatever, people pay for those services because they use them. It's a win-win. They get to watch the shows they want. And even though they might have cable, they're still going to have a Netflix account.
Totally.
So that makes a lot of sense to me as far as just getting the information out there, letting people, not being pushy, but letting people know what can we do to prevent this in the future. Here are some things we can put in place to make sure that it's not ever this bad again. Now, nothing's going to be 100% perfect. We understand that, but we're here. And I like what you said before too, is that I think a lot of times when you have a customer come in, especially on the break fix side, and they get something fixed, and you might not see that customer for a while. And part of the reason probably is because maybe something hasn't happened in a while and they can't remember who you are or what your number was or whatever, even if you've given a business card. And so they just go online again and find whoever pops up, that's who they go to this time.
Right.
So if you have something like Kabuto on there that's already there and in their face, it's letting you, oh yeah, hey, here's my computer. That's the whole reason for having those icons and different things on these computers.
Totally.
Is to get them to recognize you and come back to you when they have a problem.
Right. And I think like we get caught up a lot of the time in the tools. It's like the checking the box on the pricing table kind of thing. It's like, you know, I'm going to give you the antivirus. I'm going to give you the monitoring. And the monitoring includes these things. And like, that's what I'm going to check for. And because of that, we like downplay the price. So a lot of people, like I've learned this like through like helping people sell Kabuto. They will charge like $8 or $10 a month, right? For like a fully loaded Kabuto machine. And the thing is, like, that's fine. Like, I kind of agree. It's like, okay, you bought it from us for $250 or whatever. You're going to sell it for $10. And like, that's probably what those tools are worth or something. But what people don't get is that like, they're not selling the tools. Like, they're selling themselves and their time. And that's very different. So people have gotten super creative about the way that they sell stuff and what they put in their pricing packages. And a lot of it is not even like a thing. It's like time. So they'll say like, you know, 1 consultative call a month and like up to 30 minutes or something like that kind of thing. They'll put that in a pricing package. And from what I've understood, most people never take advantage of it.
Right.
And every once in a while, you do have somebody that abuses it. And like you put in your terms of service that you have the right to be like, hey, you're abusing this. Like, we're going to have to charge you for this. So, you know, but for the most part, people are honest and good and reasonable.
Yes.
And, you know, so anyway.
And that's the way it works too. The more people you have on a system like this that you're using, the more people are going to, most of the people, like you said, are going to, they're going to be fine. They're pretty much going to be hands off. And here's where I would, as I look at the different things, and I've changed my packages over time, but you can, you know, for $8 or $10, I'm basically going in. I mean, the monitoring is like an extra thing, but I'm really not going to be monitoring for $8 or $10. Just not. Right. So I'm going to put the stuff on there. It's going to do what it does. You know, if partially it breaks or something happens, you get a virus or whatever, that's fine. We're going to charge you. But you can make different tiered programs where you move that program up to another level where you say for, you know, $25 a month, I'm going to give you unlimited virus removals.
Yeah.
Remotely.
Totally. All you can eat type thing. It's basically the same thing that like a lot of MSPs do this for their business clients. They have like an all you can eat service thing. It's like, we'll do whatever it is except for like hardware costs.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you just have to figure out what way is going to best work for you and how your business works. And so you got to figure out too, how much time can you spend in this stuff? And again, you guys are making it easy where there's a lot of hands off on it. And I used to think this back in the day is that I'm going to be spending my time putting out all these fires and I'm going to have so many expectations on me for installing this stuff because I installed it. I'm responsible. But the reality is, no, I installed it as preventative measures. And there's a terms of service that says, here's what we cover. Here's what we don't cover. Here's what's outside of this plan. You get in there and you do the things that you cover. The things that you don't, you charge for those things. And don't feel bad or guilty about it. It's just part, again, I go back to, I've said this probably 100 times on these shows, but if your toilet's plugged and you call a plumber out to your house or a sink is leaking, okay, they're not leaving until they get a minimum $200 check from you if they just tell you what the problem is. You're getting $200. So or like I tell people all the time, there are doctors out there, certain different types of businesses that maybe they spend whatever they're doing, maybe it's an ongoing thing, but maybe they spend 5 minutes with you, 5 to 10 minutes, and they're getting paid $50. Now, obviously there's overhead costs and different things like that. But if you think about it, it's $200 an hour.
Right.
So, you know, look at those things and go, wait a minute. Actually, it's more than that. But let's say on average, $200 an hour. And for some reason, we think that our skill set and the things that we do are not as qualified or as good. But we need to stop thinking that and understand that the reason people are coming to us is because they don't want to learn how to do it themselves. So that's why they come to us. So be the expert, be the person out there that's going to provide the best service that you can. Now, again, everybody will go, I got the best service in town. Okay, compared to what? I don't know. I would hope that everybody that listens to this show is going to go to the best of their ability and do the things right and take care of their customer. And again, as long as they're taking care of their customer in a win-win situation, it really doesn't matter. The charge is just part of doing business.
Right. I think that's 100% true. I also think there's how do I say it? There's a tendency to not want to say no to people. So like, just as a classic example is like, if I make my price $100 and I get 2 customers at that price point, and then I raise my price and I lose one of those customers, but my price is $200, so I'm getting the same amount of money and I have one less customer, right? You have to be willing. In that one, it kind of like evens out, but I think there's a lot of cases where people are like, oh no, like I don't think I can charge people $20 for like managed services, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's true. Like some of the people will say no, and then like some of them will say yes. So does the math work out?
Yes. Yep.
And I think that some people feel bad about that because people want to be able to service the people in their community. They want it to feel good, right? But then also like you have a business and like you as a person need to like feel like you're getting paid what you think you're worth. And so to your point, like a lot of people don't value themselves high enough. And it's okay if someone doesn't want to pay you the $20 as long as there are people willing to pay you the $20 and the math works out so you think it's worth it. And so it's okay if people say no, as long as there's people that say yes.
Yes. And I think too, you can start at any level you want. In here's where a lot of people get stuck sometimes. They don't want to necessarily, they get started and they understand, okay, maybe I'm putting a little bit more expertise into this than what I thought. Maybe it's taking a little more time for whatever reason. I'm having to spend thought process on this or whatever. I really should be charging more, or the service is very valuable. I need to be charging more. And so they get stuck in this dilemma of what do I do with the existing customers I have? And to that, I say, if you feel really bad, nothing. But just remember that everybody, you can either increase their price over time because every business does it. I was just talking about this to my wife the other day, and we remember back in the day, like 20 some odd years ago, you go to McDonald's, you could take a family of 7 and spend like $20. I can't take a family of 4 now and go out of there for less than $40. It's ridiculous. So guess what? McDonald's is not the best food. It used to be cheap. It's not even cheap anymore. It's still fast.
So, that's true.
Oh. So yeah, definitely you have to value yourself in what you're doing. So you can always increase things over time. You can have a reset where you go, hey, my old customers, they are grandfathered in. They don't have to worry about it. This is what they're paying. This is the type of service they're getting. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to either add some things to it and charge my next customers more. Maybe I'm not going to offer that low tier plan anymore, and that's okay. And so you're going to go out and get those. For everybody out there that's ever raised their prices in this business, you will understand 2 things. And that is you will spend less time in your business and you will make more money. Yes, I didn't say the same. I said you will make more money. I can't explain it. Okay. It's just the way it works. If you don't believe me, go and try it. So anyways, going back to, so I find this very fascinating, and I'm glad there's guys like you out there with, Kabuto and, everything you're doing over at REPAIRTECH, and the repair shopper guys are actually working together in bringing this product so that it works back and forth seamlessly. And I hope that there's other companies out there that learn to do this a little bit better. So I definitely applaud you guys on that. And I think this is a great place to start. Plus, if you look at the prices that you guys are charging for these products, for all these different products combined, a lot of times it's still, if you look at some of the other models out there, they're going to have minimums and different things like that. So I am all about, if I am a small business owner and I want to get started, I need some place to start. And this is a perfect place to start. And I think that's great that you guys are doing the, letting people know, hey, day one, just install it on every computer that comes in. Don't even tell them. Just install it. Let them know what it is. Hey, if this pops up and lets you know, all it's going to do is alert you that something's wrong with your computer, and you can give me a call and we can take care of it. Maybe even take care of it remotely so you don't have to bring it back to the shop. Wouldn't that be cool?
Mm-hmm. That would be very cool.
So is there anything else that we haven't touched on as far as what Recur does at this point? Do you want to talk about pricing or anything like that, as far as, kind of what you're getting with that?
Sure. Yeah. So obviously with Recur, you have to have Repair Shopper and Kabuto. It doesn't work unless you have both of those things.
Right.
And it costs you $19 a month to use Recur. It's completely optional. It's technically a Repair Shopper add-on. So you buy it on the Repair Shopper side in the App Center. We have a money back guarantee on it. We're super, super confident that it will make you tons of money. And if you think about it, it's like, okay, I'm going to sell like 2 computers and then it's break even or something.
Right.
So anyway, we're super confident that you'll make tons of money on it. So if you don't, we'll give you your money back.
Number one, at $19, less than McDonald's for a family of 4, unless you're getting off the dollar menu. Number 2, money back guarantee. You don't get that everywhere. So that's awesome. All right. So is there anything anything else we need to cover, Ian, as far as, I think we pretty much cover what the integration does. And I think from front to back, it's an awesome integration that really takes a lot of the work out of our hands and puts it into the automated process, which is kind of the way we're going with everything we use.
Totally. That's what we're all about. All our products basically do that. So, no, I mean, that's about it on Recur. We're working on tons of other cool stuff. Those of you who have been keeping up, I'm sure, have seen all the releases we've done recently. We've launched customers and then policies, and we're in the middle of launching a thing called the Kabuto service, which is going to change Kabuto from being an EXE or a process into a process and a service. And that will have some very dramatic effects. But we're going to be rolling that out in the next week. And then we have a lot of other really cool stuff coming. So a lot of that is public knowledge, and you can probably look at any comment I've ever made and see like, oh, these things are on the roadmap. And then we have some surprises. It's going to be a fun rest of the year.
And that's the other thing I appreciate, but not only, Troy over there at Repair Shopper and the rest of the guys and gals, but you guys over here at, REPAIRTECH, you guys are always innovating in making things better. And I think that's awesome, because there's a lot of times where companies will just put their stuff out and kind of sit on their hands and go, hey, we're making money, we're good. And I definitely appreciate that about, both your businesses.
Yes, we try very hard to keep ourselves working too much. So we're constantly building new features and all of that, and that's fun, and we're getting better at it. And, at the end of the day, we just really want to help these small businesses grow.
Right.
It's kind of, the thought behind Recur and the thought behind Kabuto. And I'm sure on the Repair Shopper side, they feel a similar way, which is why we like working with them. And yeah, so at the end of the day, it's all about the customer, not about us.
Awesome. And that is the way it should be. So, Ian, if you want to let people know where they can find you at and all the things that you got going on there that they can check out, and definitely check out Recur over at Repair Shopper. I did see the add in under their web apps, so that's kind of cool, easy to do. And definitely check out Kabuto and all the other things he's got going on over there. Great set of tools. I know we're not really talking about tools, but a great set of automated tools that just work and do a majority of the work for you.
Yeah.
I just stole all your thunder, but go ahead and tell people where you can find you at.
Well, thank you, Jeff. You can check us out at repairtechsolutions.com. And from there, you can check out TechSuite and Kabuto and Recur, and Repair Shopper is over at repairshopper.com as well.
Awesome. And definitely, everybody that's listening to the show knows that we support all these businesses, and definitely go check them out. Hey, money back guarantee, just try it. Just prove me wrong and just try it and see if it works for you, because you're going to understand once you get it to work, you're going to go, man, why wasn't I doing this before? So anyways, my 2 cents. All right. Ian, I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing with us again. It's great to hear from you guys and see what you got going on.
Yeah, always fun to come on, Jeff. I always appreciate it. It's a good time.
Okay, no problem. All right, and I want to thank everyone for listening and subscribing to the show, and we'll see you next time on Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast.